We will use the multi-purpose tool Extrude Face. It can be used with primitives to push a face outward, or inward to create a hole in the primitive. Existing extruded faces can also be extruded towards each other and connected as handles. The shape of the extrusion is based on the shape of the selected face. Here are some examples of what it can do. First, adding material to the primitive subdivision surface body. Then, removing material from it. We'll also touch on some other useful tools, including subdivide faces, arc bend, and crease with a slider to adjust edge sharpness. Using these tools, and some help from xDesign, we'll create a model of a cup. The main portion of the model, a cup, is a primitive subdivision cylinder, so we'll start adding one, dropping it into the XY plane and dragging the scale slider to about 150. In this example, we'll set the number of subdivision loops for a couple of the directions, the stack from 3 to 6, and the pie slices from 8 to 10. Setting these values allow you to roughly size and shape the faces of the primitive. Click OK. Let's take a quick look at view orientations. We use view orientations to change our perspective on the model, and it can also be useful for making selections, like box selections, easier. The box edges are horizontal and vertical, so sometimes it is easier to change the view orientation to select an angle set of vertices. Some common tools for changing the view orientation are the triad and the triad menu with isometric. But there are many keyboard shortcuts that can also be used to quickly zoom and change the view orientation. Let's take a look at some useful shortcuts. Pressing F zooms the model to fit in the work area. Z zooms in a small amount. Shift Z zooms it out. The arrow keys, up, down, left, and right, rotate the view. Shift and an arrow key rotates it a full 90 degrees. Alt, with left and right arrows, rotates around an axis normal to the screen, and space opens the view cube. Note that the full list of keyboard shortcuts can be found in the User Assistance panel. Press F1 to access User Assistance xShape Help. I'll use the view cube and change the view orientation to a side view. We want to break a couple of these faces down into smaller divisions, shapes that are more compatible with the object we're modeling, a handle. To do this, we'll be using the Subdivide Faces tool. This is one of several tools that exist in two places, on the Action toolbar and on the Context menu. So let's talk about the differences for a moment. The Context menu is for single uses. When you create a crease, align, extrude, or subdivide the current selection, and then finish. The Action Bar version is better suited for multiple selections, adjustments, and continued use. We'll use the Action Bar version here to select and adjust two faces simultaneously. Note that although they are both showing temporary graphics, the last one selected has a drag handle. Drag the handle outward to make the center larger. Note that there is another menu that includes a continuation arrow to complete the step and remain in the command, cancel, and OK. I'll click OK here. I'd like an alternative to the standard isometric view, one where I can see the subdivided faces, so I'll press space and click the corner of the view cube. I'll select a face and use the Context toolbar to extrude face. The face is extruded and the tool is shut off after that one step. If we repeat this for the second face, we end up with a pair of extrudes to start forming the connection of our handle at the main body. Next, using the Action Bar version of the same tool, I'll select the outer faces of those two extrusions and click the arrow to accept the current results and continue. Lastly, I'll select two opposing faces and click OK. I'll change to a front view to see the full handle. The outer handle seems a little thick, so I'll box select the outer row of vertices and push them in a little, thinning the handle. I'll also add another extrude, this time to the top of the handle. The Arc Bend tool can be used to bend selected vertices using an arc path. We'll click Arc Bend, the YZ plane, and box select a couple rows of the handle. When the line and arc appear, drag the handle at the end of the arc across the horizontal line to shape the vertices. Click OK to stop editing the sub-D surface. I'll use crease to sharpen the edges of the cylinder on the top and the bottom. Crease includes a slider that can vary the sharpness of the edge from soft, 0, to sharp, 100. The top one will be 75. I'll click crease on the action bar and select the edges all the way around the top. After we set the slider to 75, we can click OK. Note that another way to preview the crease is to switch to Show Cage and Surface or Show Cage only. We'll repeat the procedure by selecting the outer edges on the bottom. I'll dial the slider up to 100 and click OK. We'll click OK to exit the subdivision environment. Clicking X will switch to XDesign for some finishing touches. For you to complete the steps shown in this lesson, you must have both the 3D Sculptor role with the xShape app and the 3D Creator role with the xDesign app. In xDesign, I'll add a 12mm fillet on the bottom edge. I want to add a revolved cut feature, but the planes are off center of the cylinder. So I'll click Features and Plane and select the YZ plane and the vertex at the top center to create a new plane. Using this plane, I'll create a new sketch and use it to create lines for a revolved cut feature. I'll add a full round fillet on the top edge and a 10mm fillet on the inner edge to complete the model.